Good morning and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Friday, April 17th. Let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are trading higher. We're up 0.36% this morning. It's a nice green morning. Looks like we're going to be trading higher today. I mean, really, it's the optimism around the potential U.S.-Iran peace agreement. President Trump was out there yesterday. He spoke about a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. He indicated that Iran has agreed to his terms. You know, Iran has not confirmed the details yet. The Strait of Hormuz remains, effectively closed, so that does keep some supply issues in question. But Pakistani officials are apparently in Tehran, and they are talking to Iran about this peace deal. And, something could happen this weekend, something could happen next weekend. But we appear to be very close to, for a significant de-escalation and risk here. This morning, I'm seeing some, nice action in transportation stocks. Software stocks are also in focus, heading into the open this morning. In terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Walt Disney's out there. They're reporting that they're going to be charging $10 million for a 30-second Super Bowl ad spot next year. Because remember, they own the rights to the Super Bowl next year. So, they're upticking those costs. NVIDIA's Jensen Huang did an interview yesterday in a podcast, and he came across rather evasive when he was asked some tough questions. He was talking more futuristic rather than directly answering the questions, causing a little bit of nervousness there. Netflix, it's also in focus. They released earnings, and the CEO, Reed Hastings, this is the key. He said that he's going to be leaving the company in June. So, that causes a little bit of concern for the stock this morning. What else? We have Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wild. She's going to be meeting with the CEO of Anthropic today. They're trying to, get past the recent tensions between, the White House and the AI companies. So we'll have to see if anything comes out of that. But on the earnings front, we're seeing weakness in Alcoa. We're seeing weakness in Netflix after their reports. On Monday morning, we got reports from Bank of Hawaii and Cleveland Cliffs. They're both scheduled to report. Okay, now let's take a look at the overseas markets. Let's start off with the DAX. The DAX is trading higher. It's up 113 points right now. That's 0.47%. We're seeing some gains in software and autos this morning in Germany. The FTSE in France is down 27 points or 0.26%. Financial stocks, energy stocks have shown some weakness. The CAC in Paris is up 30 points or 0.37% with gains in tech, while luxury stocks are mixed to higher. So, that is helping that index this morning. We're looking at last night, and we're looking over at Asia, and, starting off with Japan, the Nikkei fell 1.76% or 1,042%. Tech and AI stocks moved lower. The Bank of Japan, they got that rate meeting coming up, and they kind of indicated that policy is not as loose as it appears. I'm not too concerned about it. Hong Kong also fell 0.89% with weakness in property stocks, tech, and financials. China was relatively flat. It's down 0.10 though, a tenth of 1%. It's relatively calm, but next week they do have a rate decision coming out, so you would expect calm before the storm. So I'm not surprised they didn't that they closed relatively unchanged. Then we're turning our attention over to oil, and oil is moving lower. We got oil down 4% this morning. You got WTI at $90.77 a barrel. You got Brent at $95.80 and 88 cents a barrel. Listen, Trump expressed optimism on the potential agreement to end the conflict with Iran. Iran has not accepted the terms yet. But Trump said that they've agreed to abandon their nuclear ambitions, provide free oil, and reopen the strait. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure there'll be some comments over the weekend. But this is still the main story that's affecting the markets. But I don't think that we're going to see the volatility next week as we have this week with news out of these peace talks, because now it's kind of getting priced in. So I'm not expecting to see huge volatility unless they totally fall apart. Then it will just be ugly. Okay, now we're moving over to earnings, and we got to start off with Netflix. And Netflix delivered a strong beat. I mean, they beat by 46 cents on higher revenue. Remember, they got that big breakup fee from Warner Brothers Peace Guy deal, but nice beat, but the stock is trading lower by over a little over 10% this morning. Very weak, 96.60-ish. Alcoa, they also missed. They missed by 11 cents, but they did that on lower revenue. That stock's down 2.38% this morning. Upcoming tomorrow, Monday morning, we got Bank of Hawaii, ticker BOH. Their EPS is $1.23. Expected move is 6.76%. Then you got Cleveland Cliffs, CLF, Charlie, Larry, Frank. They're looking for a loss of 40 cents, and the expected move is 12%. Cautious there. On the economic calendar today, it's rather it's rather light today. I mean, we got the Baker Hughes rig count today at 1, but then we got plenty of Fed speak at 11:30 a.m. We're going to hear from San Francisco Fed Bank President Mary Daly. 12:15, Richmond Fed Bank President Thomas Barkin, and then 2 p.m. Fed Governor Christopher Waller will be speaking. Yesterday, you got the employment data from the Labor Department. The weekly jobless claims fell to, 207K. Now, market was expecting 215, which would be down from the prior week of 219. But remember, it's been 210 has really been the, expected number. So anywhere around that 210 is normal. And it really does show like a still resilient and stable labor market. That is rather positive, moving forward. Okay, now we're going to talk about like stocks that are moving the market this morning. We're going to start off with Apple, ticker AAPL. The fact is iPhone shipments in China surged 20% in Q1, according to the data that was released. Meta Platforms, ticker META, they're going to be raising prices on their Meta Quest 3 and 3S headsets. Netflix saying, their co-founder, Reed Hastings, co-CEO, he's going to be exiting the company, saying it's so strong that it doesn't need him anymore. We'll see if it doesn't. The guy's made some really smart decisions over the years. So I'm not going to be saying they don't need him, but they don't need his guidance. But we'll have to wait and see. Time will tell. Okay, we're talking Disney. Disney has the Super Bowl 2027 rights, and they're asking for $10 million for 30-second ads. Podcast interview. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang was evasive, unable to answer hard questions. Boeing scheduled to hold their shareholders meeting, today at 9 a.m. That could be something. Netflix backs its 2026 guidance of $50.7 billion to $51.7 billion. Street estimate has a 51.38 in the middle. That's okay. In terms of catalyst calls, Citibank adds Columbia Sportswear, COLM, to its 90-day upside catalyst watch list. And Bank of America, they changed their U.S. focus list names. They removed Goldman, but they added J.P. Morgan, removing GS, adding JPM. Interesting. Okay, now we're talking about today's pick of the day. And, I got to go with Bank of Hawaii, ticker BOH. I mean, the data looks okay. I mean, earnings are scheduled for Monday morning. The EPS is $1.33. Expected move is 6.76%. Yesterday's call volume was light, 166 calls versus 50 puts. Open interest, very positive, 1,706 calls to 798 puts. Now, the major brokers aren't following this one, but the tier 2 guys are, and they're all positive on the stock. But for me, I'm looking for a discount. I'm looking to get in. My entry price is $78.15, give or take 15 cents. But that's what I'm looking for, $78.15 as an entry price for Bank of Hawaii today. Earnings come out Monday morning, ticker BOH. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about the stocks that are, hitting the tape over the last 15, 20 minutes, see if we get anything hot hitting. European Commission approves Merck's RSV disease in infants drug. Pratt Whitney Canada launches services in Singapore, RTX. BJ's Wholesale Club, they announced the launch of Texas operations, ticker BJ. ZCAR expects 70% reduction in net loss for 2026. White House has said they'd be optimistic that Kevin Warsh will be Fed chair on time. I don't know about that. White House blockade has been enforced against vessels of all nations departing Iranian ports. Wells Fargo was out there yesterday talking positively. Interesting. Ford's recalling 1.4 million pickup trucks due to gear shift issues. Alcoa is in advanced talks to sell its Messina East smelter site. Let's see what else we got here. President Trump is expected to sign a drug, the okay for a drug to treat addiction. One of the tickers is ATAI, Apple Tom, Apple India. FAA clamps down on turf war at Chicago's O'Hare this summer. They got to start reducing flights. White House has to start giving out those tariff checks to companies that were paying them. Carnival Corp, 9 a.m. is an annual shareholders meeting. That's all I'm seeing today. Okay, let's move on to yesterday's pick of the day, which was Alcoa. And if you look at this one yesterday, it made the 1%. I mean, the stock opened up at $70.87 and then ran to $72.42. That's like 2%. So, yeah, it beat the 1% goal during the trading day. Alcoa was a winner. All right, traders, that concludes today's podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.